Greetings, my name's John Pedersen. I'm the superintendent at the New Underwood School. Today we're at the South Dakota Capitol in Pierre, South Dakota. I came out here to attempt to do a little lobbying for our school in New Underwood, and lo and behold, three of the, well, I'm not sure if there's 23 or 24 or 22. I've heard conflicting reports on how many seniors we have in New Underwood, but it's in that 20 area. And three of them are pages, and that's very, very unique to have three from such a small school. So I thought I'd take the opportunity and talk with them and find out a little bit about their experiences. So with that, Jordan, Erica, Olivia. That's one thing I said I was going to remember your names, okay? So I'm doing okay here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are? Start with Jordan.
Okay, I'm Jordan Silbernagel, and I've lived in New Underwood my whole entire life, and that's all I've gone to school. I actually just recently moved to Rapid, so I have to travel from Rapid to New Underwood to finish out my senior year, but I'll graduate in May at New Underwood.
You and your brother drive in?
Yes, my little brother, and then my cousin drives with us too.
Yeah, and you're there early in the morning?
Yes, because my little brother's got early drama practice.
Yes, he does, for the one-act play. Okay. Erica.
Hi, my name is Erica Venhuizen. I have gone to around New Underwood area most of my life. I've lived east of New Underwood my entire life. I live on a dairy farm, we dairy farmed for many years. I went to Harmony School, a little country school by my house through second grade, and then I came to New Underwood and I'll graduate from there.
Now, Erica, I know that the dairy business stopped a few years ago in the New Underwood area. There used to be a lot of dairies. Have you ever milked a cow?
Yes.
All right. I have two, by the way. Okay, Olivia.
My name is Olivia Edoff. I went to Spring Creek Elementary School, which was just a little one-room schoolhouse from K through 8. And then I came to New Underwood for high school. I plan to graduate and go to USD for juvenile law. And I live on a ranch.
Yes. Okay. Did you girls say what you were going to do? Where we're going?
Not, no.
All right.
I'm going to SDSU for nursing, and I eventually want to become a nurse practitioner. I'm thinking about specializing in pediatrics.
All right. Good.
I plan to go to Dakota Wesleyan for elementary education and special education in double major.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's start out this way, and while we were getting set up to film here, we discussed this briefly, and I think this is interesting. Is this what you expected? You know, you've lived in South Dakota all your life, you girls, and you're good students. I know that. All three of you are honor students, and so you know a little bit about the legislature. I mean, you've read the paper, and you've had teachers, and you've had courses, but is it what you expected? What have you learned out here? And we'll start with Jordan.
It's really not what I expected, because I seriously, when I thought about it, I thought it was going to be really boring. Because when you think about like making bills, you don't really think about all that goes into it. So I thought that it was going to be really boring, and I thought all the legislators were going to be super serious. But actually going to the committee meetings and hearing them discuss the bills, it's actually really, really interesting, and there's a lot that goes into it. So I thought it's way different than I was expecting. I was expecting to be really bored out of my mind the whole time I was here, but I actually really enjoy it.
Good. How about you, Erica? What have you learned?
Going off of what Jordan said, I really thought all of the legislators, I assumed that they were going to be, it was really serious, follow all the procedures exactly, no laughing, nothing, and just going to like the committee meetings and even on the session floor, listening to them laugh and talk to each other. And I know they said that in the later sessions it gets more serious, but for this session particularly, I guess, they really seemed to be enjoying what they were doing, and they really seemed to be here for the right reasons.
Olivia, what have you learned?
I think when people hear about politics a lot, they just hear the bad things and all the bills they don't like or what they don't think that the legislator's been doing well lately. But I think that being here has really shown me these people are here for the right reasons, and they really try to do their best to make these bills that are going to make South Dakota a better place. And they put a lot of thought into what they do, and rarely do you ever see any kind of bills that are going through here that people are pushing that are bad. Everything that goes through here, they're really trying to make this a better place for everybody that's here.
You know, something that I thought about earlier that I just want to cover briefly, and that is open enrollment. You know, open enrollment in South Dakota came about years ago, and it basically says that a student can go wherever they want to. They don't have to go to school in the district that they live in. And I think you gals are a good example. Olivia, you're in the Custer district. You know,
I am.
Spring Creek is about 15 miles east of
about 30.
Hermosa.
Oh,
and, then,
from Hermosa,
and then
yeah.
and then your ranch is farther, and you're in Rapid City
Yeah.
this year, so
Luckily, we could
you open enroll. You
Yeah,
open
'cause
enroll.
I wouldn't want to go for my senior year.
Now, are you in our district? Do you live in the
I
district?
think so, but I could actually go to
Yeah.
Wall.
Yeah, we have a lot of students that open enroll. We have a lot of students. Okay, so with that, let's talk a little bit about the committees you've served on. I mean, where have you been? What committees have you worked in?
I've been in education. I've gone to a lot of the education meetings. I think 3 of them. I'm going to a 4th one on Friday. I've been in ag and natural resources, transportation, appropriations, and I'm going to try to make it to the health and human services one today.
Okay, all right. How about the committees for you?
I actually, I was sick for a couple days, but I went to the transportation committee meeting. I went to state affairs. I'm in appropriations tomorrow.
Oh, I forgot. I went to local government. Did you
Oh
know
yeah,
that
I
one?
went to local government.
Okay, okay. Olivia, how about you? Committees?
I've been working on the phones a lot more, but I went to 2 appropriation meetings, which, for those who don't know, that's budgeting, so it's quite wonderful.
That's fun.
Through a couple hours of budgeting. I think that's one of the hardest committees to sit on. But then I also went to a couple education meetings, which I thought were extremely interesting. And the people that are on there, how they try to make, give the students all the tools they can to succeed. It's really kind of cool to watch that process.
Exactly. Okay, well, let's see here. We can talk about some other things. You mentioned, Olivia, appropriations. That's a grueling committee. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
that's the committee that decides where the money goes and how it's distributed. And those people, I think a lot of times they start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they go a lot later than most committees. For example, House Education and Senate Education, I think they start at 7:45.
Yeah, they
don't
do.
they? And you're done at when? Is it 10?
Well, it depends. They only can go 2 hours, so like 9:45 is their kind of cutoff because there's
Okay.
another meeting that starts like right at 10.
Okay. All right.
So I've only one I think actually went the full 2 hours. Otherwise they adjourned early. But
Okay.
And that's kind of how appropriations is different. All the other committee meetings, there's one section at a time. For instance, you can go to a meeting right in the morning and then one right before lunch. And the appropriations is actually both time slots. So those people are in there all morning long, and
Yeah.
I gotta commend them for that
Yeah.
for their diligent work, because
Okay.
it's hard to sit
Okay.
in there for that long, and just, I mean, all the numbers that are thrown at them and stuff, it's
And
hard to
some-
keep it straight.
some people they go like way over their time and they have to sit through their whole entire
Yeah.
slideshow, and you're like, I feel bad for them because they're sitting there for like 4 hours listening to the same people.
Okay, let's talk about this. The legislature comes here, the House and the Senate, they come here to pass bills. They come here to pass bills, and according to you girls, they want to pass bills that are good for us, okay? Can you think of any bills in your mind that have come up this year that are interesting? I'm not saying you're for them, you're against them. Have you heard discussion on any bills?
Some of them, like the tanning bed one, there's one about banning
tell
tanning
us about
beds.
that. What do you
They're
think?
banning tanning beds for minors, trying to ban tanning beds for minors, and
What do
I
you-
thought that one was kind of interesting.
Do you think it's a good bill?
I like it because I mean I don't personally use tanning beds, but
All right, all right.
so I kind of liked it. But
Okay.
they said it's kind of one of those bills that kind of come up every single year and nothing ever happens with it.
All right,
so
all right. Any bills? Yes?
One of the bills when we were in state affairs yesterday, they were talking about wanting to get away from standard time zone, and they want to leave us on daylight savings time
Okay, okay.
all the time, which I
Okay.
think would be really cool because then you have an extra hour of daylight.
Yeah, yeah. It's always kind of nice going home to New Underwood like I'm going today, because we have that hours difference.
Yeah.
But then when you come here, it's not so good. You know,
And we lose an hour.
how about you, Olivia? Any bill that comes to mind?
When we were in the education committee, they were talking about a bill that has to do with disclosure with school counselors.
Yes.
And it was pretty controversial, but I thought it was really interesting, and it has to do with the parents' right to the school counselor's records with their children.
Right.
And at what age does the child get to decide whether they want to keep that private or not. And it was really hard because it's hard to pick out an age where you say this is when they're mature enough to decide. And
Yeah.
that was really hard because you couldn't really pick a right or wrong. It wasn't
Yeah.
black and white.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it was interesting, before we started this podcast, I said to you girls, I said I didn't see you in school on Monday. and I'd like to bring that up because the legislature was not in session, was it?
No.
On Monday. And then you informed me we were in school.
Yes, we were.
And so, I mean, and I think I point that out too, that you gals worked hard. I mean, you're out here serving as pages, and it would have been nice and probably would have been handy if you could have slept in on Monday, because I'm sure it's grueling here.
Yeah, it is. Long days.
But you came to school, and we appreciate that. So when are you through? When do you?
Friday.
Oh, Friday's it.
Yeah, Friday's the last day. 2 weeks, yeah.
Oh, you do 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you're home. And where did, you know, that's another question probably for the public. Where do the Pages live?
I live in a host family. Like, we all live in a
Yeah.
host family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live like a block and a half maybe
Okay.
from the Capitol. They have like a whole attic that I
Yeah.
get to myself. They live in a Victorian style house, and like the stairs are really steep though, so it's kind of scary going up there.
Good,
But
good.
it's really nice. I like it a lot.
What's an average day? You come here, Erica, what's an average day?
Let's see. I have to get up earlier because my host family lives out of town. But I get here around 7.
Okay.
And then we check papers and check for mail. And the morning gets off to kind of a slow start unless you have a committee meeting at 7:45. And if that's the case, then you go to the committee meeting. Or if you don't have a committee meeting, then you would sit and just work in the post office, help deliver mail,
Okay.
etc. And then once your committee meetings get out at like 9:45, then you can go to another committee meeting at 10 o'clock. And then you take, after that committee meeting gets over around noon, you can take a lunch break, and then we go into session at 2.
Okay.
And then you sit on the floor and run and do whatever they need you to do.
I think basically it's just kind of, you're there to make sure that the legislators get to focus and devote all of their attention to the task at hand. They're there to make the bills and make sure that South Dakota is passing these bills that are best for the state. And we're there so they don't have to worry about going to get coffee or making 100 copies and stapling them all, and those little things that take their attention away from what they really should be here
Exactly.
for.
We're kind of a little bit of a take the stress away, I
Okay,
guess.
okay. Well, I think we're going to conclude this. I think we've gone around 10 minutes. I appreciate you ladies taking the time. And I just like to make this comment. You know, I think whoever views or is viewing this podcast realizes that we're really fortunate in New Underwood to have the students we do. And these 3 young ladies represent us well, and we've got high expectations of what they'll do in the future. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.